In light of Hamilton leaving the squad, Toto Wolff has given some insight, not just on how it happened or how he found out, but also why he let it happen and why he's happy to see Hamilton leave. And he did this by lashing out at his soon-to-be former superstar. So, has their relationship been broken ever since the news went public at the start of the year? And does this also explain why Hamilton is having such a bad year at Mercedes? Because they're focusing on George Russell? First off, Toto Wolff has stated that he did not try to persuade Lewis Hamilton to stay at Mercedes rather than transfer to Ferrari, and that was because he was concerned about the F1 driver's shelf life, effectively saying that Hamilton's time in F1 was soon over. Hamilton told Wolff at the start of the year that he wanted to leave Mercedes and join the Scuderia in 2025. The revelation shook F1, and Wolff said that he had concerns Hamilton was considering departing following a phone chat with Carlos Sainz's father, who suggested his son was being dropped to create room for Hamilton in the Ferrari team. Toto Wolff also revealed details of Lewis Hamilton's surprise departure to Ferrari, including how he had an early tip-off from Carlos Sainz. Senior Hamilton informed Wolff during a visit to his home at the end of January that he would be using an escape option in his Mercedes contract to join Ferrari for the 2025 season. However, while Hamilton's statement was the first formal confirmation Wolff had of his drivers leaving, he has since spoken at length about how he has been aware of the possibility for some time. Wolff said that he first learnt of the situation when he received a call from Sainz Sr., the father of the Ferrari driver Carlos, that Hamilton is replacing. "So I heard the bells ringing 2 weeks before," Wolff explained. "Yeah, the old man Sainz called me and said, 'This is what's happening.' And then there were a few drivers' dads rang me up that didn't before, so I thought, okay, there's something going on there. And then I sent a text to Ferrari boss Fred Vasseur saying, 'You're taking our driver.' Didn't get any response. Very unusual for Fred. He's a good friend. So yeah, I saw it coming." With his suspicions regarding Hamilton's visit to his residence, Wolff stated that he put a curveball into their conversation by first informing the 7-time champion that Mercedes had recruited former Ferrari chief designer Simone Resta. "When Lewis arrived in the house, like he did so many years before, we had a bit of a small talk, like we always do about the Christmas holidays and all of that," Wolff told me. "Then I said, 'Well, we're recruiting from Ferrari now. We got this guy.' And Lewis was, 'Oh, there's something I need to tell you.' And yeah, when he said that, that initial moment was a little bit of, 'So, this is really happening.'" When Hamilton's Ferrari choice became public, it was one of the most shocking news stories in modern F1 history. However, Wolff stated that he was able to deal with the issue in a calm manner. "Well, I had much worse in my life happening, like real drama and trauma," he informed me. "This is not even moving the needle." He added, "It's just a new situation. It has risks and opportunities. Risks in the sense of how do I inform the sponsors as quickly as possible, because it was leaking. And on the other side, what are we doing about next year?" Hamilton, who will be 40 when he joins Ferrari in January, and Wolff have long spoken of their bond. And Wolff believes Hamilton's decision to move to another team is really a plus, since it avoids an embarrassing conversation with the 7-time world champion, in which he informs him that he is no longer needed. Wolff mentions former Manchester United manager Sir Alex Ferguson and current Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola as examples of managers who are letting older players go to make room for the next generation of potential in their teams. Wolff made the statements in his latest book, Inside Mercedes F1, Life in the Fast Lane. "I absolutely had it on my radar that Lewis would go," says Wolff. "I just couldn't understand why he'd changed to another team before we knew if we were going to be competitive. It also didn't give me any time to react. I had to emergency call our partners, and I possibly missed out on negotiating with other drivers who had signed contracts a few weeks earlier, like Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris. But I like the situation. It helps us because it avoids the moment where we need to tell the sport's most iconic driver that we want to stop." Mercedes has replaced Hamilton with 18-year-old Andrea Kimi Antonelli. There's a reason why we only signed a 1+1 year contract, Wolff says of the pact they inked with Hamilton in 2023. We're in a sport where cognitive sharpness is extremely important, and I believe everyone has a shelf life. So I need to look at the next generation. It's the same in football. Managers like Sir Alex Ferguson or Pep Guardiola. They anticipated it in the performance of their top stars and brought in junior players that drove the team for the next years. Meanwhile, Wolff has said that he continues to reflect on Hamilton and what's next to come for the record-breaking driver. But he isn't the only one, as fans and analysts around the world are wondering if Hamilton still has what it takes. It even went as far that F1 enthusiast Jeremy Clarkson says the Brazilian Grand Prix demonstrated that retiring Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton is past his prime in Formula First. Hamilton failed to qualify good for both the sprint and main races, finishing a distant 10th in a race in which teammate George Russell began on the first row and led early on. Russell has started ahead of his legendary teammate in 16 of the 21 races run thus far in Formula 1 2024, excluding sprint qualifying sessions. In his essay for The Sun, Clarkson said that Hamilton is now too old to perform at his prime, with Verstappen potentially emerging as F1's greatest driver ever. He said, "We learned 2 important things during last weekend's Grand Prix in Brazil. Well, 3, if you count Lance Stroll, who crashed his freshly repaired car on the formation lap, and then drove it into a gravel trap. First of all, Max Verstappen is one of the all-time greats. He may even be the greatest driver we've ever seen. And second, Lewis Hamilton is past his prime. He blamed his car for his tail-end qualifying session, but his teammate, George Russell, was on the front row. Of course it's possible that because Lewis is moving to Ferrari next year, the team are filling his fuel tank with lemon barley water instead of petrol. But that seems unlikely. It's far more probable that he's now too old." Hamilton made a sad figure at the end of the race in Brazil, confessing that the second half of the F1 2024 season has been devastating, after hoping to conclude his Mercedes career on a high note after triumphs at Silverstone and Spa before the summer break. He told reporters, "It doesn't feel good, obviously. It's devastating to have these bad races in the second half of the season, but all I can say is, we're trying coming into the weekends, but it's definitely not acceptable. It's definitely not good enough. We have to take accountability. I have to take accountability, but I'm doing the best with what I've got. For some reason, the car has been the worst of it this weekend, and I don't know what it is. We're going to have to find out what it is. One of the cars was working a lot better, so there's obviously potential still there. Let's not talk about the car, because the car's no good. Yesterday was terrible. Today was terrible. Yesterday was bad. Qualifying was bad. Sprint race was bad. The car's just been bad all weekend." Hamilton went on to say that he doesn't care where he ends in the final rankings in relation to Russell, saying he only wants to keep the car out of the wall at this point in the season. He added, "I'm not fighting for the championship. Doesn't matter really where we finish in the championship. I don't care if I finish ahead of George or behind George. It doesn't make no difference to me. I just want to keep the car out of the wall and try to score points if I can for the team. If they give me a car that doesn't bounce off the track in the next few races, then hopefully we can get a better result. But looking forward to Christmas." This admittance told us all that Hamilton is really done with being a Mercedes driver, but it's also dangerous. If he's thinking like this all year, could he really turn it around next year? And will Ferrari be patient with him if he doesn't get up to speed in an instant? And would this prove us that Wolff's decision to not fight Hamilton leaving the team was a good decision? What do you think? Comment down below.